Book of the Week, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Hi and welcome everybody, it's Jason Barlow, RMT. I'm here today as your therapist and as your coach to help you transform any stress, tension, and pain into health, happiness, and vitality. This is a powerful book if you give yourself the opportunity to dive into it. Now, we might at first have a bit of an obstacle if you're a female out there and you read Man's Search for Meaning. What about a woman's search for meaning? I think the only reason for this title still standing is the original publishing date of this book is 1946. And I'm not giving any excuses, but I think that's perhaps where the title has come from. But when he's saying man, he's meaning all people's search for meaning. And he is, or was, a psychiatrist who had gone through being imprisoned in more than one concentration camp, if I remember correctly. Just reading here what it says. So descriptions of life in the Nazi death camps and its lessons for spiritual survival. Between 1942 and 1945, Frankl labored in 4 different camps, including Auschwitz, while his parents, brother, and his pregnant wife perished. And based on his own experience and the experiences of others he treated later in his practice, Frankl argues that we cannot avoid suffering, but we can choose how to cope with it, find meaning in it, and move forward with a renewed purpose. And I remember this story. A patient of mine shared that friends of hers years back had won the lottery. They had no children. They were mid-40s. They paid down their debts. They quit their jobs. They traveled the world. They bought more toys and cars and expanded the house and so forth. You know, they put money into the things that they believe were going to give them more happiness. And about 5 years later, it wasn't one of these stories where they burned all their money. They indeed had enough money to continue very, very extensively through life, very comfortably. But they were lacking 2 things, she told my patient, their friend. And they were purpose and fulfillment. And so isn't it interesting, if you check for yourself, check those loved ones around you, that very often people may even have all of the resources and the luxuries and the toys, and they're still not satisfied. I mean, don't forget, I'm a Buddhist, so I believe that satisfaction can only come from within anyway. But on a worldly plane level, on a worldly pleasure level, if we're not feeling purposeful and therefore also fulfilled in that purpose, then we got to question what we're doing and how we're going about doing it. And maybe it's a change of career. Maybe it's a change of relationship. Or maybe it's simply just a change of mind to that relationship, to that job, to that situation that's being presented. I mean, look at the whole COVID crisis that's going on. How we're choosing to respond to COVID, given our current climate, given our current situation, is entirely up to us. We have that potential to control our response to the COVID situation that's presenting itself to us. Many, many obstacles for many, many people. Job losses and mental health issues and physical health issues and, you know, not being able to commute to work and have that social integration that we would get at work, and now kids with school and having a homeschool. There's many layers to this for all people involved. To me, the ultimate solution is truly taking some time to reflect on where you're truly at on a mindset point of view in your response. Remember, I've shared this multiple times and I'll continue to share it because it's such a beautiful formula. Reverse engineer the results you've got right now are coming from the actions that you've been engaging in. And those actions are coming from the feelings. Your feelings determine your actions. And where are those feelings? Where's the birthplace of those feelings? Are your thoughts. And the house of all your thoughts is your mind. And so if you want to have different results in life, you've got to take different actions, therefore have different feelings, therefore have different thoughts. Well, how do you change your thoughts? Read. Read more. You got to study. You got to read. You got to listen. You got to be open. There's so many people with so much pride. And I remember listening to a Buddhist teacher share once that pride in the mind is like a very pointed mountain. And we might be in a space where we're trying to listen to somebody, but we have so much pride. We can't wait for them to shut up so we can talk. And our pride is so steep that what they're sharing with us is just like rain falling off those steep sections of that mountain peak of pride. The rain cannot gather. When we have so much pride in our mind, we cannot learn, we cannot listen properly, we don't take on board, we're not sinking it into our hearts, we're closed-minded, the blinkers are on, and it's very hard to change how we think about doing things, and therefore our feelings, therefore our actions. So if you recognize you have a lot of pride, that's on you. Just recognize it and just start to carve away at some of that pride. Just start to allow yourself to flatten that peak, so that instead, over time, now we have a bit more of a valley of a mind within which we can receive this rain of information, and it can actually start to accumulate in our reservoir of our mind. If not, otherwise, we're going to continue to do what we've always done, and we're going to get what we've always gotten. We're going to continue to do what we've always done, and we're going to continue to get what we've always gotten. We have the capacity to transform our mind. And there's some extensive books and beautiful books. And this is one of them that I'm sharing with you this week. So just a little bio on Viktor Frankl. He was a psychiatrist, obviously treated probably thousands and thousands of patients with his approach in life in helping them to find meaning, to find that purpose. And he developed a program called Logotherapy. It's a form of therapy that is used to actually help transform the mind. Now, again, there's multiple therapies out there. It's finding the one that sits best for you, that works best for you. Again, how are you going to find that out? Diminish that pride, open your mind, start reading books. You know, my very first book, which I shared last week, was Tony Robbins' book, Unlimited Power. Wow. Profound book, opened my eyes to something I'd never even considered. It was within Tony Robbins' book, actually, he referenced Viktor Frankl's work, and he expanded on his story in the concentration camps. And, you know, reading this book and the depth of information he shares on what he'd endured, what he'd gone through, but how his mindset ultimately helped him to partly, yes, survive, but also then help influence the mindsets of other people that were struggling given their situations in a very, very, very difficult, pressing and challenging situation for not just this single person, usually multiple people of the family. So this is my book of the week. I highly recommend it. It will definitely help you to understand more about your mind, about purpose and meaning in life, and give yourself the opportunity to go get this. The new editions now, I think a recent edition was printed in 2006. It looks like. I'm just looking on Amazon here. This particular version I have, I think originally it was printed in 1946. This particular edition was 1984 that I have. So it looks slightly different, but the title is still the same. A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you've enjoyed that. Please, please, please leave a comment below. Like the video, like the podcast. Please share a review of some nature somewhere. Help us spread this message. Remember, all muscles matter, and your muscle health is my #1 priority. Go read this book, check it out, and tell me what you think. Take care, have a great weekend, and enjoy.